Yeah. Yeah.
Hey there, how are you? My name is Daryl Henderson, and I am going to show you the sewing table that I found roadside. Yes, I had permission to get it. I called ahead. It was on Facebook, actually. So I called, and it was still sitting out there. Not only it, but a few other items, wooden items, that I used to scrap. Well, I decided to turn this sewing box into this planter box. In this video, I'm not going to take you through a step-by-step on exactly what I did, but just to kind of show you in more of an introductory piece to me being on YouTube now. So, another thing I'd have to tell you is a lot of the wood that I'm using is scrap wood. The sewing table, the workbench that I'm working off of right now is scrap. That top actually come off of an executive desk that I also found on Facebook. Those 3 pieces of wood that you saw me put together, glued with some Titebond original. I actually got it from Home Depot. Did pay for it, but I don't know if you know about Home Depot's purple sale, but if you find wood that's spray painted purple, they give you like 70% off. And sometimes it's not, sometimes it's twisted. There's no telling what may be wrong with it, but there's always something. Most of the time I found it to be minor. Now these boards, that actually come from a crib that I saw on the side of the road. Someone was throwing out, and there were a few pieces broken here and there, but I pulled all the screws out and I actually saved those also. I've used those in various times, but I decided to just glue them together, and this would make the short sides of the planter box. So I had no idea what I was going to do with the sewing table when I got it. So I probably had it for a month or more before planter box come to mind. Then I decided to get started on it and didn't know exactly what I had in mind for how I was going to make it till I just started gathering some of my collected wood. So I decided to go with 45-degree angles to meet on the sides. I could have done box joints or dovetails or any other thing, and I say I could have done that. I'm not sure how well I could have done that. I am a beginner woodworker, and I was not too good at putting together the sides at 45 degrees, which I figured might be one of the easier ones other than, just a butt joint, but it's kind of boring, and I want it to look somewhat nice. This is not a piece that I'm going to sell. I'm not trying to make any money off of it, but I still wanted it to look nice. I knew I was going to actually use it myself, and I wouldn't ever use the sewing table. You see that top? I did put some box joints in the top, but here's where it started. And I had no idea where I was exactly going with it, so I cut the whole center out of it. Now I was pretty much left with a very small portion of the sewing table, that top and the legs itself. So I used parts of that crib, and you can kind of tell in this portion of the video where I made box joints to separate it out, so I can have 3 different sections in this planter box. Once that was in, I put the legs back on just for the time being. I'd put some finished nails in it just to hold it, just so I can see kind of how I wanted to set it up. Then I started working on the sides. So here's the long sides here. See, I'd cut those at 45s. I was having a lot of issues with getting all this to kind of line up. You think you cut 2 sides, 2 different boards, 45s, they made up very easily. It was trial and error, but I kept working with it, kept having to go back, remeasure, cut a little bit off here and there, but eventually it worked. Sorry about the video. I am also a beginner videographer, I guess is what you would call that. Just as I'm a beginner woodworker. So here you see I'm doing my best to get this to line up. This fancy tool from Amazon to hold two boards at 90 degrees, it helps, but it's not a problem solver exactly. At least not with these 45s together. Another thing I would note here is I did not put any dowels or anything in the sides or in the short sides, the darker wood, the wood that come from the crib. I just didn't see it as being necessary, and I don't really think that it was too necessary in the long sides, but I did it honestly. I got a biscuit joiner and I wanted to use it. I didn't really think I needed to, but it come together really smooth. I mean, once it was together, sanded down and planed, it was really nice. Not that the biscuits made that happen, but still, it was a that was a success. I have had problems whenever I first started. Well, still, I would call myself a beginner now, but whenever I really first started, getting some things to line up after a glue up was tough. All of it's been pretty tough. So here I am now, sanding down some of the glue, some of the leftover paint, some of the sawdust that was glued in with the box joint, just to try to get a better surface finish on that. Again, like I said, it didn't have to be perfect, but I still wanted it to be nice. Again, I apologize for the video. Now I've gotten the top glued on, nailed down. Just about to start on painting the legs. One thing I will say while we're watching me paint, you may have noticed I have majority 95% Ryobi tools. I've heard good and I've heard bad about the Ryobi tools, but I found them to be what I need. I mean, as far as woodworking goes and what I do, and I'm not perfect at it. I'm not the best. Maybe one day once I get better and I see where my tools are lacking in my ability, then maybe I upgrade. But for the time being, especially while finances are the way they are, you're not gonna find a Festool in any of my videos. It will be Ryobi. You may see Craftsman here and there, but again, I'm starting out, learning. You may have noticed I didn't paint the top of which would be the bottom of the legs. Well, that's just because I needed something to hang on to. I'd come back to that later once I had it set. Some of these legs had issues when I tore the sewing box apart or the sewing table apart. Part of the legs broke, but a lot of that's going to be covered by dirt. I mean, literally, this is going to be a planter box here in my backyard growing bell peppers. You may see some flowers in it for some pretty pictures, but realistically, I want something that I can eat growing in my garden. Here I'm using men wax stain. Really nice. I haven't used too many different types of stains, but I thought that this one looked really good. This is for a deep walnut, I believe is what it said. Regardless, stain's going to go on in so many different ways, or come out looking so many different ways, depending on the type of wood you're using or how long you leave it on. I could tell whenever I was putting this stain on that it come out in a couple different colors, but I mean, there's 3 different woods, scrap woods at that, coming together here. Overall, I liked it. I also noticed where I cut out the inside, I had some router marks that I didn't even know until a few weeks ago that were literally burn marks. I honestly, first time I seen it, thought it looked pretty cool. Didn't know how I did it. So here's the bottom. This, I believe, come from the back of an entertainment center. I thought would be perfect as the bottom. Maybe not the best wood to continuously get wet over and over, but this is something that I can work on from time to time. I'm pretty sure this will hold up. It's about a 1/4 inch thick. I'm pretty sure it'll hold up for the first season. Now, I'll take all the dirt I have in this planter box back out and put it into my compost pile. So at that point in time, I can evaluate the damage. I can see what water has caused a problem with. I can see what wood is working, not working. Not that I necessarily know these types of woods for this. I mean, like I said, I didn't purchase any of it. Well, except for the sides. I did purchase that, but I'm pretty sure the long sides are just pine. So I had a real issue here with the corners of this bottom part, which I did not need to fit perfect, and it did not have to be a watertight fit, because obviously I didn't mind if water run through it. I wanted water to escape somewhere. So here's where I'm talking about coming back and finishing up the bottom of the legs. Again, I'm not working at trying to make this perfect. This is not for a customer. I don't have customers in my woodworking journey here. But as far as having it at home for myself and my wife to see, and my wife probably could be one of the toughest customers there are, at least for me, I wanted it to look nice. Here I'm going back over it with Def. It's a clear wood finish, waterborne acrylic finish, gloss colored. That I was hoping would provide a little bit of water protection. Again, I will work on it after this year's over with, and I'm sure it would hold up for the first year. But I just wanted it to give it a little bit of protection. So if you've made it this far into the video, man, I really appreciate you sticking it through. I know the video quality is not the best. I know I'm not the best woodworker. There's so many more out there that are really great you can watch on YouTube. So thank you very much. Well, I hope you hit that subscribe button. I'd love for you to continue watching the different builds I have and see how I continue on this journey of woodworking. Also, if you have an idea of how you would have done something different, a better way of doing this, or if you know of somewhere else to get some wood for a relatively inexpensive price, comment. Other than that, y'all stay safe, stay blessed.